avidyāyāṁ niruddhāyāṁ saṁskārāṇām asaṁbhavaḥ avidyāyā nirodhastu jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt.
Avidyāyāṁ niruddhāyāṁ saṁskārāṇām asaṁbhavaḥ avidyāyā nirodhastu jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt. So this is verse 11, not as I wrongly stated earlier on this morning, verse 10. This is verse 11, and the verse I commented on previously was verse 10, not verse 9. I'm afraid I'm having an increasing number of senior moments recently, and that was another one. Well, on that subject, chakshu pratitya is depending on the eye, and so chakshu in that phrase is accusative, not, as I wrongly stated in another senior moment, nominative. Anyway, coming back to verse 11, which is together with verse 10, in my estimation, really, really important verse to cultivate understanding of. The first thing to say about it is that in the text just been recited by Professor Kashinath Nyalpane, the last para is jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt. So jnana, understanding, knowing, wisdom, in that version is jnanena, instrumental. But in the version I'm following, it's genitive, jñānasya. So this is also the verse I commented on in connection with the opening verses. So as I explained there, jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt means through the cultivation, bhāvanāt, through the cultivation, jñānasya, of understanding, asya, of this, eva, emphatic. With jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt, it will be through cultivation again, asya, of this, eva, emphatic, jnanena, instrumental, by means of understanding, or by wisdom, which also makes sense, but I prefer the version with jñānasya in the genitive. So avidyāyā nirodhas tu jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt. But stopping of ignorance is through cultivation of understanding of what this really is. So this line, however you translate it, is pointing to zazen, what's called zazen in Japan, sitting meditation, sitting in the full lotus posture, dropping off body and mind. So to come back to the first line again, avidyāyāṁ niruddhāyāṁ saṁskārāṇām asaṁbhavaḥ. So avidya is ignorance, not knowing. Niruddha means stopped, held back, held in check, inhibited. So avidyāyāṁ is locative, singular, feminine of avidya, and niruddhāyāṁ agrees with that. So it means, if we translate the locative absolute as where ignorance has been stopped. Equally, you could say when ignorance has been stopped, or while ignorance is being stopped, for a more perhaps dynamic translation. Where ignorance has been stopped, saṁskārāṇām asaṁbhavaḥ. So we've met this formula before of genitive with saṁbhavaḥ. In verse 9, he says, kevalasya metasya dukkhaskandasya saṁbhavaḥ. There is a coming into being of this whole aggregate of suffering. So that's, there is a coming into being is saṁskārān, and then of, genitive, of something. But this says asaṁbhavaḥ, so the a is negative. So there is a non-coming into being of saṁskāras. Saṁskārāṇām is genitive plural of saṁskāra. So avidyāyāṁ niruddhāyāṁ saṁskārāṇām asaṁbhavaḥ. Where ignorance has been stopped, there is a non-coming into being of saṁskāras. Now, what this particularly suggests to me, this line, is what I've experienced from time to time in Alexander work over the last 20 years. Because the way I was taught to practice sitting meditation in Japan was, in fact, ironically enough, a kind of deliberate practice of ignorance. It was the embodiment of ignorance, whereby I was taught to make effort to keep the spine straight vertically. And as part of that effort, I was recommended quite forcefully by my teacher's hands, when he put his hand there and put my chin back. That was ignorance on his part. I have no hesitation in saying that. That's the truth. He was manifesting the fact that he didn't know. He had a conception of right posture, but he didn't know what it involved. Whereas enlightenment in that situation would have been for him to realise that there's no such thing as right posture. Right posture is a non-empty concept. The Buddha never taught right posture in non-empty terms. Perhaps we can say, going back to the Mindfulness Sutra, that the first instruction to go to the root of the tree and ujjum kayam panidaya, it means in Pali setting the body. Ujjum, or in Sanskrit, I think it's, I forget what it is in Sanskrit now, but the point is it suggests tending in an upward direction. Okay, so there's no sense of up being anything other than a direction. Up is not a non-empty thing. Upright posture is an illusion. The posture is something fixed which has stopped going in any kind of direction. So if you have the concept of keeping the upright posture or keeping the spine straight, that's a very non-empty concept. It'll get you stuck. To use a line from an old Chinese koan, it's a stake to which to tie a donkey for 10,000 years. And my teacher tied me to that stake, not for 10,000 years, because I was liberated somewhat when I met the Alexander technique. So Alexander emphasized there's no such thing as a right position, but there is a right direction. Now, what that means, I can't explain on a YouTube video. And the truth is that many Alexander teachers can't explain it either, because Alexander's technique has become somewhat corrupted in the 50 or so years since his death. So I think it's 64 years since his death, by people who don't really understand the technique. And I might well be part of that group, but I was definitely pointed in the right direction by Alexander teachers like Ray Evans, Ron Collier, Nellie Benor, and Marjorie Barlow, especially those four. And being pointed in the right direction is mainly a matter of having your wrong conceptions about right posture undermined and falsified. So an Alexander lesson, a good one, is really a lesson in ignorance being stopped. Where ignorance has been stopped, there is a non-coming into being of saṁskāras. So what does saṁskāras mean in that sentence? Doings. In Alexander terms, there's a non-coming into being of doings. doings being doings of body, mouth and mind. So non-coming into being of doings of mouth most of the time means keeping quiet, as for example in sitting meditation. Non-coming to doings of physical doings has a lot to do with, in Alexander terms, with using the head, neck and back well, and using the limbs well in relation to the head, neck and back. And that has got a lot to do with emptiness, I see more and more. So it's not, if you talk about the relation between the head and the back, it's not that the head and the back are separate parts that you've got to think of relative to each other. The head is empty. The use of the head is empty of the head, but full of the rest of the body. The rest of the body's empty of itself, but full of the use of the head. So emptiness comes into it like that. But I haven't translated saṁskāras as doings here, because I think it includes the meaning of the things that we confect, we conceive of non-empty things, like right posture, for example. And the conception of right posture does not come into being where ignorance has been stopped. So because the right posture is a kind of a confection, it's a deliberate confection. It's not only something you do, it's something you think. It's an understanding that one has, a wrong understanding. Avidyāyāṁ niruddhāyāṁ saṁskārāṇām asaṁbhavaḥ. Where ignorance has been stopped, there is a non-coming into being of saṁskāras. Avidyāyā nirodhas too, but stopping of ignorance. Jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt is through cultivation of understanding of what this really means, what this really is. There's a non-coming into being of saṁskāras. That statement doesn't get you anywhere. Intellectual understanding of it doesn't get you anywhere. The cultivation of understanding is what Alexander work is all about. And it's what sitting meditation is all about as well. But as the Alexander teacher Patrick MacDonald said at the beginning of his book, The Alexander Technique as I See It, the first step is to understand what kind of effort that cultivation entails. And ironically enough, it's the exact opposite of what we think of as making an effort. Because generally speaking, when we start to make an effort, we make an effort to do something. And as the previous verse says, avidvān kārakas tasmān, therefore the ignorant one is the doer. So when we make an effort to have right posture, for example, we are the ignorant one doing something. Vidvāṁs tattva-darśanāt. Not the wise one, not the one who knows, tattva-darśanāt, because of seeing reality, is how that would normally be understood. So the person who knows the score in Alexander work is not the doer. That's one way of understanding it. But I think a more profound understanding is that the one who knows doesn't see reality, but he has the humility to realise that he doesn't see reality. And it's out of that humility, which has the word humility having to do with the earth. So sitting on Mother Earth, eating food that grows up out of Mother Earth, breathing the air produced by trees from Mother Earth. In that sense, tattva-darśanāt means because of reality being realised. In other words, because of reality realising itself, or in Alexander terms, because if you stop doing the wrong thing, the right thing does itself. So here we go again with MMK chapter 26 verses 10 and 11.
saṁsāra-mūlaṁ saṁskārān avidvān saṁskarotyataḥ avidvān kārakas tasmān vidvāṁs tattva-darśanāt avidyāyāṁ niruddhāyāṁ saṁskārāṇām asaṁbhavaḥ avidyāyā nirodhastu jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt
Avidyāyā nirodhastu jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt. Saṁsāra-mūlaṁ saṁskārān avidvān saṁskaroty ataḥ. The doings, saṁskāras, which are the root of saṁsāra, thus does the ignorant one do. Avidvān kārakas tasmān, vidvāṁs tattva-darśanāt. The ignorant one, therefore, is the doer. The wise one is not, through realization of reality. Avidyāyāṁ niruddhāyāṁ saṁskārāṇām asaṁbhavaḥ. Where ignorance has been stopped, there is a non-coming into being of saṁskāras. Avidyāyā nirodhastu jñānasyāsyaiva bhāvanāt. But stopping of ignorance is through cultivation of understanding of what this really is.